Thanks for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Guardian newspaper. Naira redesign policy. Buhari absolves self as CBN finally obeys Supreme Court order. CBN has no reason not to obey Supreme Court on Naira redesign policy. You'll find all the details on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. To the Punch newspaper now. Emefiele finally bows to pressure, says old Naira notes legal tender. Emefiele finally bows to pressure, says old Naira notes legal tender. You find all the details on the front page of the Punch newspaper. To the Nation newspaper now, CBN okays 1,500 Naira old notes after Buhari's rebuke. CBN okays 1,000 Naira, 500 Naira old notes after Buhari's rebuke. You find the details on the front page of the Nation newspaper. All right, we move now to the front page of the Daily Trust. Old Naira notes legal tender again. CBN, you have no reason not to comply with Supreme Court judgment. Buhari speaking. Banks struggle to meet customers' needs. Pensioners decry Naira scarcity, say we are in pain. It's good news, traders, POS operators are saying. Mike.
All right, I have the Nigerian News Direct here, and still the same story today. Old Naira note crisis. At last, Buhari CBN bow to pressure, obeys Supreme Court order. The federal government denies directing Malami Emefiele to disobey court, says the CBN must make money available for circulation. As CBN direct banks to issue except old notes. You see all this on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. Leadership newspaper is next. As scarcity of Naira notes of Naira bites harder, a leadership newspaper is where we're going now. PMB disowns Emefiele, Malami over defiance of Supreme Court. Says he's not responsible for plight of Nigerians. Old Naira note remain legal tender, CBN governor. Labour gives federal government 7 days to end Naira fuel scarcity. Okay, PMB disowns Emefiele, Malami over defiance of Supreme Court. That's what leadership has. And then from there, let's go to Blueprint newspaper. The Blueprint says Supreme Court order on Naira redesign after Buhari's blast. NLC governor's threat. Emefiele surrenders. After Buhari's blast, NLC governor's threat. Emefiele surrenders. Says old 200 Naira, 500 Naira, 1,000 Naira notes remain legal tender till December 31. Excuse of awaiting presidential directive, untenable presidency is saying this. All this you see on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Business Day is next. Cash chaos crushes farmers. Cash chaos crushes farmers. Buhari's 13 million agri jobs under threat. Buhari's 13 million agri jobs under threat. Okay? Now let's go to the last one now. This Nigeria. 10th National Assembly. I have no anointed candidates for leadership, says Tinubu. All right. I have no anointed candidates for leadership, says Tinubu. No perfect election anywhere, despite commitments. The APC's Adamu speaks on February 25 presidential poll. All this on the front page of this Nigeria. Veronica?
All right, Mike, we're still looking at the Naira redesign policy, the fact that the CBN has come out to say that the old 500 Naira, 1,000 Naira is now a legal tender, and so they will coexist with the redesigned notes. And we are seeing from the papers this morning that the president has said that the presidency has said that the CBN has no reason not to comply with the court order on the excuse of waiting for the directive from the president. But then there are some Nigerians who are saying, who seem to have even lost hope. They are just, you know what, you shouldn't even have reversed this policy. Let's keep going. Like,
We'll get used to
it. We'll get used to it.
In fact, we're even used to it already.
We are used to it already. Unfortunately, there are those who are yet to adapt to the whole thing. But do you think that at the end of the day, the CBN will be achieving its purpose of mopping up and bringing about the cash, perhaps the cashless policy like we have already spoken
the
about?
point there is there are a few things that I see which are not going the way it's supposed to go. Of course, the information at the disposal of the CBN governor, of course, we cannot have information that is close to it when it comes to financial, economic, and all of that. But the only thing we wait to see is the impact of whatever they're bringing forth. Now, this policy, the Naira redesign, we had said from the beginning, the policy by itself is an amazing policy. It's a great policy. Good thing, because the point there is, when the CBN came out to say that 85% of the Nigerian currency is in people's houses and people's votes and people's pockets and on the streets and so on, recall that when the CBN comes up with financial policies, sometimes we don't feel the impact because a lot of that money is in the hands of people. So the policy of CBN only impacts on the remaining 15%, which Nigerians don't feel the impact after all.
Yeah.
So the policy originally was a good thing to bring all that money into the system so that when we come up with a policy, we can have a direction where everything goes. And then if we're moving this way, we'll move it that way. So ideally, it was fine. However, the time frame for the implementation was not what Nigerians, in fact, Nigerians felt, although the analysts said that the CBN underestimated the impact of that policy, underestimated the psyche, the social psyche, and the behavior of the Nigerian market. And if you read it that way, of course, you will say it is true.
Yeah.
Because you don't come up with a policy and in 3 months you want to mop up monies. And if you're mopping up money, then there has to be some backbone structures that you have to put in place. One, if you're packing these old notes away from you have to either replace it so that the system can move on seamlessly, or as you're mopping up this one, you have to ensure that there is the online backup that people can say, okay, because if we are going to transact in money and you don't want us to use cash, then give us an alternative, and which will be online banking, online transfer, as the case may be. Then at the same time, the transfers were not working, all the online whatever were not working. So how do you want Nigerians to survive, to react and survive and move forward? Economic activity, you cannot quantify how much the economy has lost this period of time and all of that.
In trillions.
There was a woman on my way home, sometimes I buy bananas from. She had some very good bananas. But the point there is, she knows that people are not buying the bananas because they don't have cash. And then you go to buy a banana or whatever. Sometimes it's not very easy to say, let me transfer monies to them. So I was here to buy bananas, and then she knew that this Oga that buys banana from me every time, if I don't give him all these ones, they are going to get bad because it was evening, and if I have to take all these bananas home, I might not come back with them to the market tomorrow. So she had to pack 4 bunches of bananas for me. And seeing that, okay, I saw what she was doing. It wasn't just about goodwill. It was just, instead of it to waste, let me just give it to somebody. So since I understood what she was doing, I had to just pay for them originally. I didn't want to buy that much, but I had to, so I can also help her.
Yeah.
So the point there is that a lot of market women with tomatoes and onions and all of those
consumables,
a lot of perishable goods go to waste because there is no cash to buy. And at that level of market, not all of them have bank accounts. Not all of them are even knowledgeable on how to use apps or use whatever to make transfers. So the point there is, the CBN came up with the eNaira platform or the eNaira package. We were expecting that this was the opportunity for them to pump knowledge and enlightenment about eNaira so that Nigerians can begin to know what the eNaira is, how
the
to use it.
alternative for them.
Or alternatives. So that if the e-naira is choked up so much that we cannot use it and all of that, can the central bank partner with some of the fintechs so that we can ensure that these things move very seamlessly? So all those things were not done. So it makes Nigerians conclude that the CBN underestimated how Nigerians behave
And
when
give
it comes to some of
credence
these
to
things.
the conspiracy theories around
Exactly.
the presidential election at the time.
So it makes it look like, oh, what we were hearing
Yeah.
that this was a target on a few persons. Maybe it is true. It may not be true.
because
it could
what
just
has
be,
changed? We have a governorship election coming.
Yeah, exactly. But the most important thing was the presidential election.
Right.
Even if you say you want to curtail vote buying, now at the end of the day, it made vote buying even cheaper. Because the person who would have said, if you don't give me 20,000 naira, I will not vote for you.
I will take any amount you
He will
give
take
me.
any amount because you can't even find any money. So the point there is that sometimes it makes it look as if we are still learning what governance is. We are still learning how to implement policies and so on. No, that's not what the thing is. These were the kind of policies that the military that was not prepared or knowledgeable or have the wherewithal to govern. Because when it comes to governance, military is not prepared, is not a system of governance or standard system of governance anywhere in the world. Anywhere there is a military is an aberration. So the point there is that the military is not trained to give those to run a democratic or a country. So when they come, they do try and error. Oh, just bring this decree. Bam, they don't know whether it is going to work. Anyhow it is, they bring another one. So that was why there were coups and counter coups, because when they bring a policy, it doesn't work. Another people say, no, it shouldn't have been like that. They come up with another one.
Trial and error.
Trial and error. You don't do trial and error, especially when the country is over 60 years. We should have mastered all of these things by now,
Right.
especially in a democratic government. We expect, or Nigerians expect, that one way or the other, there should be consultation. Because there is a value chain, there's a very long network of chain of those who will make this cashless policy or make the Naira redesign work.
Right.
We
Well,
expected that kind of If there were that kind of consultation, we wouldn't have been having this
perhaps
challenge.
now that we have ample time, now till December the 31st, there will be some level of consultation and all of that. If we move further, with the
Medicine after
policy-
death.
No, of course, you have learned your lessons. That's a major issue. So if we will move further after December the 31st with this policy, then consultations still have to go on.
Well.